Oof. All right. Good evening, everyone. We're back again. This is the premiere episode of Mike's Music Corner, where I will take artists with projects, songs, and videos, and we will discuss the meaning behind their music. My first guest is a very, very good brother right here, a friend of mine, Hood Soul. He is a farmer. He is a hip hop artist, rapper. He's got a little poet in him, and he's just an all around dope person and a deep brother. So shout out to you, man. How you doing tonight? Appreciate you coming on for the premiere episode of this.
I'm doing well. I appreciate you for having me. It's an
Absolutely,
honor.
absolutely. We all we got. That's what I always say. We all we got. And so let's just dive right into it. Survival. This is the debut EP, and I came across you, um, not that like not long before I met you at the poetry event, maybe a few months before, and I had seen you doing a song. I remember a lot of cop lights around. I think you were standing up because then there was one where you were like on a balcony as well.
Yeah,
And I was just like, I'm a sucker for lyrics. So like I'm listening to what you're saying and when you can feel someone's lyrics, you can feel what they're saying and you can just close your eyes and envision it. That's the feel I get from listening to your music. Is that I can envision what you're saying by closing my eyes. And there's not many artists that make me feel that way because there's only really three, I would say. If I were to, I would say it's Nas, Kendrick, and J. Cole. Those three guys, when I listen to them, I can close my eyes and envision what they're saying, like it's in reality.
yeah.
So, you're definitely in good stratosphere with that, from my end, anyway. So, I want to know why the title.
What happened? Hello.
All right, we had a little boo boo there. Are you still there?
Hold on. I believe I am. I believe I am.
Yeah, I don't know. My computer said it was unresponsive, and then it just hit the refresh button, and we were right back to where we were. So, not gonna sweat it. So, I had asked you. I don't know if you heard why the title Survival.
Uh, that's a good question, actually. Um, I think I went with the title "Survival" because that is. I feel like that's what we do on a daily basis. Um, I feel like a lot of what brought about this EP was life experiences that I've had, life experiences that people I was close to had, and just overall like where I'm from, like every day life was predicated on survival and trying to make it to the next day. So you move in such a way to where you make sure no matter what happens, you make it to see the next day.
Mm, okay, okay. You know, and survival is key. Just pulling it up here. So the artwork um is really unique here as I look at it. You know, I see it looks like it's just a normal street, but there's cop lights everywhere. What does the title or what does the cover represent in relation to the title?
Uh, so when I was working on the cover art, one I wanted it to be unique in the sense of like that's a street of Newburgh, so that's South William Street, and it's the street that most of us walk across every day. It's just the street in Newburgh that we're all familiar with, and I decided to incorporate cop lights, but not as if it to where it's like you see it visually, but it doesn't overtake the whole thing because you know a lot of the times most of our survival was run-ins with the police, you know, doing a lot of things that we had to do to survive, and police just so happen to be a part of that phase of our lives sometimes, depending on what you were doing.
Hmm. Yeah, because you know it's all about survival in many ways, and us as young black men of that descent have to really worry more so than other races, unfortunately, and even women aren't fully safe as well, unfortunately. So there was music before this EP. What was your what was your idea, your train of thought? That's the phrase I'm looking for. What was your train of thought when putting together this EP? Because the songs, each song has its own deep meaning and just story.
I think what went into this EP in particular for me, um, one, this was an EP that was long overdue. Um, like I've dropped singles and stuff, but I never dropped like a full body of work. Just having that one project people could tap into to be like, okay, who is Hood Soul as an artist? Like, what is a project he has that we can listen to where we kind of get an understanding of who he is as an artist? Like, is he a lyricist? More melodic, things like that.
Yeah.
So, with the creation of this project, like what went into it was, like I said, life experiences. Things that I've went through, things that I've witnessed people go through, and just finding a way to embody that into something that everyone can listen to and actually get the storytelling feel of it. I didn't want to drop anything to where it was like a one-off listen and you forget about it. Like I
Yeah.
wanted you to have to actually sit, listen to it, digest what it is that you're listening to, and being like, "Oh wow!" So like, there's people that's like listen to it multiple times, and I like every time I pick up something different from a song that you like, something that you said that pops out differently from how I heard it the first time. Because sometimes that's how music is. You have to listen to things a certain amount of times before you really come to understand and appreciate it. And also the fact that a song can have that much playback value is very important too, especially in an age that we're in where a lot of our attention spans aren't as long as they used to be.
Oh,
So
absolutely.
if a song isn't bopping right away, you don't
Hmm.
feel like you can't, like, a lot of us, like nowadays, I feel, especially with hip hop, we are more catered towards party vibe music or drill rap. I feel like the age of lyricism and storytelling is not as appreciated now as it was, like, actually I'll say 2010. I feel like 2010 2008, 2010, like because it's easy to say the 90s, but lyricism was still happening in the
Absolutely.
2000s, mid well 2010. I'll say 2010 to like 2014, 15, or maybe even 2016. I'll say that's when you started seeing that shift in rap to where it became more about the party music, more about the beat, less about the lyrics, and then as like influencers started popping up and TikTok, then we wanted that 30-second song that
Yep.
we can get people to dance to, influence to, and then that's what kind of took off up until this point we're at now, to where a lot of people make music to get the quick buck, and a
Yeah.
lot of people don't invest in the music in a way of like, I do this because I love it,
Right.
not necessarily because I want everybody to love it. And I feel like that's a very important distinction to make. Yes, you would love people to love your music, but if you truly do this for the art and for the craft and because it's what speaks to you, that's how I view it as winning. A lot of my songs that I write, like the songs that I put out, if you relate to it, I appreciate it. If you don't relate to it, I understand. I know the songs that I put out, a lot of the times it may be deep, it may be conscious, but I can also switch it up and do a drill track and do something that's light and easy. But I'm more of a storytelling rapper.
Absolutely.
I'm a person that's I grew up. My favorite rapper is DMX. DMX, I feel like, is one of the greatest rappers to ever live because of his uniqueness, because of his style. Like, yeah, he was loud, he was edgy, but if you listen to his tracks, there was so much that he did in his songs. And then even when DMX did prayers on his albums, probably one of the only rappers that I can think of to this day that's actually like just done prayer tracks.
Yeah.
And you listening, you're like, yeah, 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 and then all of a sudden you hear him praying, and you kind of just stop. You're like, wow, like what is this? It was so different, and I'm like, I have yet to come across a rapper since DMX to even do something like that. So when I listen to music like that, and same with Nas, I love Nas, Cole, Kendrick, I love them as well. But for me, it was always X. X was always number one for me. Like that's the dog.
That's the
And
dog.
and another reason why it was X was because even with the battles he was dealing with, dealing with addiction, he always stayed true to his character. And even in his music, like his music never wavered. Like he was still performing through all of it.
Yeah.
And I just feel like there's not too many artists nowadays that has that same impact as X did and rappers of that era did now.
Mm. And they won't. They won't. X was one of a kind, and he was in his own lane. He carved his own lane because there are certain artists, for example, like if you are to take certain songs, right? Anyone who makes music can hop on them and make a track. But let's take Slippin', for example. No one on God's green earth, dead or alive, could have done what he did with that song. Who We Be is another one. No one dead or alive could do what he did with that song. So I think specifically it's not only about the lyricism and the message, but can you really make a song yours and only yours? He was able to accomplish that feat. He was able to say, "This is my song. I'm doing this. It's not going to be for you. It's not going to be for you. No one's going to hop on it. This is when you hear this song, you're going to think DMX. And when I hear Slippin', that's one of my favorite songs ever. Not just DMX songs. That's one of my favorite songs ever because you just feel those words and you just know that he is sending that message to not mess up, to not do the things that got him to where he was. He knew he messed up. And that song to me spoke just a man trying to right the path and fix the mistakes that he made. And as to your point about the lyricism, people, here's the thing. I had Lady Miz on Honest Hour last night, and we were talking, and she was just talking about how the with the music business, it's difficult because so much comes from the artist. So what I mean when I say that is, okay, you make a song, right? Well, guess who's got to pay that engineer? You. Okay, you got to do a show. You got to have producers. You got to have, lights. You got to have setup. You got to have an agent, a manager, this and that and that. And you just have to pay all these people, So now pretty much everyone wants you to do this, all this stuff to take from you because they don't get paid unless you do.
Mhm.
And it's just kind of like people would say, like, like you look at, Taraji made a good point when she was talking about some stuff, saying how she's like, I get $20 million to make a movie, let's say, right? 7 million's gone, taxes. That's gone. You don't see that, right?
Yeah.
Then you go and you start looking at it, then she's got to pay her lawyers. She's got to pay her producers, her agents, her managers. She's got to pay all those people who helped with that film. Even though she did all the work. When she's done, she'll probably see $4 or $5 million, which, we understand to people like us, that's a lot of money. But when you think about all the time and the work you put into that movie, and then maybe doing other projects in between, that's
Mhm.
that's just not good. Well, it's not bad, but you just like, damn, I did all this and all I got was like $5 million,
Yeah.
so it's a difficult lane to be in. So the idea of this show is to really get an understanding of the music, and we're gonna start with what's the motive. Just go right in order. We're just gonna go with what's the motive. Listening to that song, you came out for me when hearing it, and just really shortened it. Motivation, right?
Mhm.
So to me, listening to this particular song, you're saying you've been through all this stuff. You've dealt with all these things. And you're trying to find your motivation or your purpose within your realm. Now, when I hear it and just your flow and what you expect or where you go with it, it goes over your head because like you're just like okay, what just happened here? So for me the question is, what was the message you tried to transcend through this song? Let me see if I can, because this song is definitely dope and you come out like letting people know how you feel.
I
You
was about to say, I feel like that. What's the motive? I was in the studio with my boy Rome, Ron, and Amir, and we were having a studio session. And I had like the first verse written down, and it was just playful, like I defied the odds, top five, dead or alive. Looking back at situations could have cost me a lot, but I stayed cool through the noise of it all. And it was kind of just that was like my flowy track. Like, let me just go ahead and just pop some shit real quick. And but also throwing certain words in there and certain verse, like certain lyrics in there for people to be like, oh no, he really talking something too. Like, so that was like my like, it's a little bop, but it's also
Yeah,
like, oh nah, he's really.
it
Mm,
was catchy. Like, but you got bars in here like blind their vision, duck down, keep your position. That's the way to
the
make
way
it
to
out
make
of
it
a
out
jam.
of a jam, but there are
Like,
times they don't get to make it home to the fam. A heavy cost in there, pure poetry to feed to the stand. What's the price? Like, yeah, it was storytelling of just life in the hood. Like, there are times you don't make it home to the fam, and it is a burden that a lot of people have to bear when you don't make it home. Someone you love don't make it home because
mhm,
that's just the way. That's the way it goes.
yeah, yeah. So you wanted to embody a story, but to your point, like you said, it's hard to get people to pay attention, right?
Hmm.
So you needed a song that was up tempo, upbeat, to grasp someone's attention. But what most people aren't realizing is with that, you're grasping their attention, right? But in the same breath, you're telling them a story,
Yeah.
you know?
I
And
think.
that's where people kind of have the disconnect because, you want to hear good lyrics. That's what I listen to music for, right?
Mhm.
Hip hop. You want to hear good lyrics. What were you gonna say before? I'm sorry.
Yeah. And that was the thing with this song. It's like learning how to incorporate up tempo, but still having lyricism involved. Like still having good lyrics, still having things that people can digest. And it's very possible to do. It's very possible to do, and it could be with a regular boom bap beat. It can be with a drill beat too. You can be saying some real stuff on a drill beat. Like
Hmm.
however you learn to incorporate, like that's what you do. So I think that's one thing I'm learning to navigate as well. The further I go along with music is understanding there are different demographics to reach as well. Because some people only listen to drill music. Some people only listen to like, some people love 808s and hi hats and stuff like that. And then there's some people that just like rod wave music and just love and all that stuff and sadness and depression. Like, so learning how to navigate through each piece of music and being versatile in that sense while still having something to deliver as I do the music.
Mm. Yeah, it was. I felt like this track was a building block for the project. Like this song was the single, like the lead single. That's the
Hmm.
song you were performing and putting it out there because, like, when you came to the poetry event, I was a little upset because, like, for me, when I'm listening to people and I know they're spitting, that wasn't your audience. You know, like because even I was talking to Yellow Pound King, and she was like, "Yo, he's spitting, he's talking that shit," but they just not hearing it, And I think that I think that that's important because once again, like you said, people don't have a long attention span. So like and let's be honest, that was a long event, and you were kind of
Yeah,
like you
that
were
was
kind
like the
of
second to last.
yeah, you were like towards the end,
Yeah,
and it was a Thursday night. Like yo, I was
yeah,
just bro, I was just like, and then it started late. Like I'd be like, man, I get it, things happen, but I'd be like wanting people to do things in a little bit of a timely manner. Like if it starts at 8 and we're starting at 8:15, I'm all right. But if it starts at 8 and we ain't starting till 9, it's like that's a little far fetched for me.
yeah.
What is the thing with this particular song? What is the message you wanted to transcend and that you wanted people to understand after the song?
Mm. What's the motive? That's the message. What's the
Mm.
motive? Like you said, what is your motivation? What is it that you are willing to do? What is it that you have to do to make it by or to get through in whatever way that means to you? So,
Just so you know you can't see the comments. I haven't figured it out, but I got my Instagram opened here on my phone next to me.
mhm.
Lacey Ashley said, "My faves." Okay, press run. Then Miss Mariah is in here. Oh, that retwist is clean, my guy. And she's in the comments promoting the EP as well.
Much love, much love. You know,
No,
had
so
to for me. I got to put my hair out.
oh yeah, but don't worry. There's no game on this show. Don't worry. There's no game. There's no stress. Like I had her stressed out on the show last night. Like I put Rakim and KRS-One together, and her mind was ready to explode.
You gotta stop doing that. You gotta
Or
stop
and
doing
then
that.
hold on. Yeah, I did that one. What was the other one that was messed up? Pete Rock and CL Smooth or Eric B and Rakim was the other one I did.
We're not playing that. We're not playing that game. So we
No, no,
I ain't
no,
about to.
no,
That,
no,
that's
no,
that's
no.
that's
We're
that's
not. I just had to read that one to you, but because I'm not gonna open that door. But someone in the comments is laughing. Javon to the M. Shout out to him. He's a dope artist as well. I gotta get him on here. So,
fact.
what's the motive? Definitely a great song. And then we transition into what did you expect? And I'm gonna be honest. I don't. Mariah goes, yeah, we won't be doing is what we won't be doing is that game. What did you expect? When I heard the beat, I'm like, it seemed like a different lane for you, right?
Mm-hmm.
You brought up versatility and showing different lanes. And it's I don't know if you can hear it,
I hear it.
but it's not fast, but it's not slow, right?
Comfortable place for rats and roaches beef over my food. Now the red became my tool, like the pheasants coming through. Now the heater in the booth. Jammed up by survival, tend to humble any fool. What's the mathematics? 28 grams bag up the ounce. Move silence just to drop off gas inside the house. Keep the trap jumping. Customers always stay satisfied by the product that I'm holding. Some niggas to cloud nine.
So
I don't even know what that is.
for me, and to me, your voice sounded a little different on it too. Is that
Mm-hmm.
just me, or was there something when you were recording the song that you did with your voice? Because your voice sounds different, but it goes with the cadence of the beat. The marriage of your voice to that beat is different
Mm-hmm.
than it is regularly. So was that something you did or you had to figure out to do?
So it wasn't necessarily figuring it out. There's a lot of times where if I'm like freestyling, I will change up my voice sometimes to rap in a certain way. So when I heard this beat, I was like, oh, this is gritty New York. This is you got to have a little raspy voice, like really give the full delivery of what it is. Like this is gritty. Like this track is just gritty. That's the whole point of it. Is this is gritty. This is gutted. This is trench rat, and this is just giving them bars and just you just talking.
Mm,
So that this song was basically trench talk. That's to sum it up. It was just trench talk. Rats and roaches beefing over my food, right? Like it was just a lot of just like, all right, like going to let you know what it be.
Yeah, and I felt like here this song you were talking about your life, like just straight up, just just you were talking about your life and kind of like I don't when you say what did you expect, I can't put my finger on. Are you talking about from your perspective, like what you expected yourself, or are you talking about other people what they expected?
It's funny. So I didn't put too much thought into this title.
Okay.
What did you expect is just what came out of it. There's a lot of times where I make music and I don't title it till the end, and then whatever ends up coming out of it, I'm like, all right, that's the title. Like
Oh,
there, like what's the motive? Literally, like I was in the studio with Javon, my boy Rome, my boy Ron, and even with that, like the first verse was done, and I laid the first verse out, and I was sitting there like, I'll wait, like I'll wait to put something, I'll wait some later. And then they were all like, "Nah, what you doing? Like you gotta finish the song." So I went back and I was like, "All right, I need a simple hook. Tell me what's the motive? Is it money? Tell me what's the motive? Is it money?" And it worked on that beat. And then the second verse was freestyle. So it's like, all right, we on the spot with it. Let's go how to turn a hope into a hustle. Embedded by the struggle, different dreams, different schemes, and try to make it out the jungle. So sometimes my songs just get created in that sense. And then it's like, okay, boom, this is the title for that. Boom, this is the title for that. Like, what did you expect? That was literally, I wanted to channel that grittiness. And like, yeah, there's aspects of the songs that are about my life and about what I went through. Um, and channeling that into the song and also putting my mind in a different mode. Because you're right, that beat is different from for me. I
yeah.
don't normally rap on the
Yes.
slower, gritty tracks. So even locking myself in the mode to be like, okay, this is gonna be different. I'm gonna just go ahead. We barring up. We spitting trench talk. This is street talk at its finest. And
Yes.
then going from there, and it's like, oh, I got something. I don't know what I got, but I got something. And you just leave it for people to decide.
Okay. Okay. Yeah. Because it's kind of just like just trying to figure out your lane, right?
Hmm.
With certain songs, because I'm listening to it, and at first I ain't gonna hold you. I was like, I don't think I like this song.
Hmm.
But like you said, but me, I listen to things again and again. So once I heard it, once again, listen to the lyrics because that's the most important part. And the marriage between the lyrics and the beat,
Yep.
um, and the cadence, or the cadence, I should say. So when I'm listening to this, and as I listen to it a second and third time, I'm like, okay, okay, now I see what he's doing here. And now I see you telling the story of just of life. And to me it sounded like, okay, you told the story about like a rough type of childhood or rough growing up, it sounded like.
Hmm.
But then it's like, what did you expect to come out of that?
Yep.
It's kind of like the diamond in the rough, right? So like to me, that's where I kind of get the title. Like that's how I thought of it from hearing the song and then getting to that title.
Hmm.
And because of that, that's my thought process. Is that's why partially why you're a farmer. Like when you were on our Honest Hour and you told me that, I don't know if you remember, I was kind of like taken back
Yeah.
because it's just like, I'm just picturing, you know, a tall black man farming. Like, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And there's nothing wrong with that. It's just not, it's just like, you know, it's just
It's
not
not. Yeah. It's not the norm.
right.
Um.
It's like if you see a black man fishing, right? That's
Mhm.
it happens, but it's just irregular. Or mountain climbing, like it's just irregular. There's nothing wrong with these things. It's just irregular to me. To me, and it may not be irregular to anyone else. It's just you don't see our people doing certain activities like
Yeah.
that. So I think you've been on that side, right? And this
Mhm.
is where your cover comes back in. You've been on that side. You're showing that side of you and where you grew up. And now you're on the other side because it's just you and the farming, you and the animals and the vegetables and the crops, right? You
Yep.
know, is a whole other side. And one thing I didn't expect is for you to tell me you were a rapper and a farmer. That's what I took from that song, personally. But what was your message that you were trying to convey in that song?
I think the overall message for what did you expect was upbringing, certain things that had to be done to try to make it through, and then certain actions that do happen in growing up in the hood, growing up the ways that a lot of us had to grow up that come from the hood, and just explaining different outcomes of things that end up happening.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I think overall that was the message for what did you expect. Like, it's rough upbringing. A lot of times life is rough. You get caught up in it and pulled into it. This is how you live, and then this is ultimately what ends up happening at the end of it. For the most part, when you get caught up, there's not necessarily a happy ending. And like even how I ended off the song, like it's the only way we made it at all. But a lot of it was, you get caught up in a certain situation. Sometimes you end up having to do something you don't want to do, and then it could cost you your freedom. It could cost you your life. There's so many ways that being in that life, you get those outcomes.
Right. End up in a body bag or prison.
Hmm.
And that's where neither one of us or anyone should want to be or end up is in those situations.
Yeah.
But like I said, that was such a dope song. Much, 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 much respect on that. Because like you said, you sometimes have to step out of your lane. That song was out of that, not out, no, not specifically the song, but the beat was out of your original, like your regular.
Yeah, it was a different cadence for me to approach for
Yeah,
sure.
so that's definitely a vibe in itself. So now we go to Crash Out, track track 3. And you know I'm 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 still trying to maybe figure out, in a sense, the feeling behind the song, um and just really try to do the understanding, because I ain't gonna even hold you. The last two tracks had me in a chokehold. So like track 4 specifically was on repeat for a little minute. See,
Yeah.
I listened to it through 6 times, but track 4 was like 12 times. like like this song kind of got a little, I don't even hold you, a little disrespect for me. So I'm gonna kind of just ask the questions here and then kind of synopsis it. To me, this song kind of was just like, what do you do when you crash out? Like when you hit a wall or you hit a spot that's kind of like that gets you stuck, right?
Yep.
Like if you're running and you're gonna run into a stone wall, guess what's gonna happen? You're gonna stop.
Mm-hmm.
You're gonna stop. You're gonna be stopped by that stone wall. No matter how fast you're running, you ain't a bulldozer. You're human. And it seemed like maybe there was a point in your life where you felt like you were stuck, like like you just didn't know which way to turn or which way to go and how to navigate yourself in a sense to find some kind of success or find an outlet to get there. So to me, it sounds like you were talking about crashing out en route of finding a better way to get to where you wanted to be, which was out of that situation.
100%. So, funny enough, the inspiration for this song came from I was with my boys once again. We were in the gym freestyling.
Okay, okay,
It was Javon and it was my boy Ron, and we were just freestyling, just cooking up stuff. And then this beat came on, and I started talking to my friend Ron, but I was talking as if I was his conscience.
okay.
So it started formulating this track because a lot of times that's how my brain works. If I freestyle, naturally an actual song will formulate throughout my freestyle because it's just the way my mind is working. It's formulating something and creating something.
Right.
So in the process of doing it, my boy Javon was like, "You gotta go in the studio tomorrow and record that. I don't care how you do." He was like, "I'm gonna be mad at you if you don't go lay this on the track." And it was so funny because I was just like, I mean, I guess. But I literally the next day I went into the studio and created this. And literally it's,
He wrote dead ass in the comments.
so I created this song speaking as my inner conscience, like I think it's time to crash out. You can hope you hear your conscience speaking. Ain't no time to have these morals that's holding you to the ground. It's time to shake a nigga up and knock his teeth out his mouth. You see his chain shining. I bet it look better on you. That 9 to 5 shit is old and it's eating your soul. Like
Mm,
even in that first part, a lot of the times, a lot of us we come to this crossroads of like we're trying to be good. We're trying to do as good as possible. We work our 9 to 5s. We just try to make a living and we try to get by. But after a while, you sit there and you're like, I'm doing this, but I see the person over there with all this nice stuff and he's doing something a little different.
hmm
And I feel like I should have that. And a lot of the times that leads to us and our conscience. Our conscience is like, sometimes it'll be like, nah, we keep doing what we need to do. And then sometimes it's like, nah, take what's yours or take what you believe is yours. And that's a lot of the times how things happen. It's a whole thought process that's in your head. And you're wondering like you get to such a low point to where you're like, I will do whatever it takes to get out of this low point.
Right.
So that first verse is literally just me trying to still do right, but my conscience is hitting me every which way, telling me like, come on, do this, do this, do this.
hmm
And then that's what the chorus is like, oh, I think it's time to crash out. And it's literally leading into the second verse of now I start to give in. I see somebody that has this nice things. I get him, I rob him, take his car, driving. I'm driving, and then all of a sudden, police is coming, but we all know how it ends every time.
hmm
And then I crash out, and that's where the skit came in. And the skit is just my conscience being like, "Yeah, this is what
Yeah.
happens. This is what happens." And the skit was funny. The skit was funny to me because I didn't plan on doing a skit at first. I planned
Right.
on just doing the two verses and then leaving it. And then I kept listening to the beat, and I was like, "No, this is the type of song you gotta do a skit." and I just went in, said a bunch of stuff that went with the song, and then was like, yeah, this is what happens when you crash out. Yeah, fucking crash out, crash out, and then it eases back in. I think it's time to crash out, and then boom, that's how the song
Wow. So really, it just kind of, it seems like you don't have your like creative process. 'Cause I don't think on Honest Hour we got to that because we just went way left field.
ends.
It was great, one of the best ones, but we went way left field with that. Um, your creative process doesn't seem to be what's the right word? Your creative process doesn't seem to be like sit down and write. Like it's not like you're gonna go and take this pad and say, okay, I got something I want to say. Because
Mhm.
a lot of times things like that feel forced, right?
Yeah,
Like I used to write poetry, and when my guy Naj Murph was alive, God rest his soul,
rest it.
he was always, he would read them. He'd be like, "Bro, you're so good. You should write. You should be writing raps." And I'm like looking at it, and like it would go together. But I'm like, "Yo, I don't rap." He goes, "You could." He was like, "You're gonna do it." He's like, "I'm gonna make you do it." And I was just like, "No, you're not." you know. But it's different because even I say that to say, like sometimes I would just feel something and I would just start writing it. Whereas, some people could definitely sit there and write, write out a song, write out a poem, and just be like, okay, without having to uh to force anything. You know, the Mavors did an open mic a couple months back. I want to say it was September's open mic, and Raya was there, and she was, we were at Toasted. And if you've been there, when they do an open mic there, it's a vibe, but it's very tight. Like,
Yeah, it is. Yeah.
they got the band and they have all their stuff, right? So like I noticed the acts were going and she was sitting there, just sitting for a while, just on her phone. Gets up on the stage and she goes, "Don't worry, I wasn't ignoring y'all, but y'all inspired me." And I was doing my poem while while sitting there. And she got up there and she spoke her poem, and then we were just all in awe. And then she handed the mic back to Jazz. Jazz goes, "Damn." She goes, "I want you to give me the mic back." She was like, "I want you to give me the mic back. Like, what's going on here?" So I just say that to say that, it seems like your creative process is just, I got an idea, you kind of just freestyle it, and then like you just go home and record it, which isn't bad because a lot of artists these days are known for not writing down lyrics, you know. So like the whole God did verse, he did it in one take from what I read, so we take it for what it is.
Yeah. I do both. So there are times I do sit down and I write a song,
Javon
and
says
then
this nigga freestyles all day.
I do. I definitely do. It was funny. I was freestyling on my way, like getting set up for this, and it was to the Port Antonio beat that Cole spit on. And I
Okay.
was like, you know what? I might drop a freestyle on this later. Like, actually, soon. I'm gonna say soon.
Okay.
But yeah, I love the art of rap. I love the art of just music in general. But like, I'm a rapper, a rap head. I would love to be a singer. One day my voice gonna get there, and I could jump back and forth in genres and stuff like that. But yeah, music is always been a big part of my life, especially like hip hop has been. It's been a part of our culture. Like it is our culture, and like we connect to it the most. Like that was our way of expression. That is still our way of expression. So it's just
And I think it's
I
the
don't. Hmm.
purest form.
Yeah.
Um, I don't take away from rock and roll singers and people who play instruments or anyone of that nature, but with rap music specifically, you are able to let out an emotion that that's felt differently. And unfortunately, that art of emotion is gone. To your point you made earlier, there's just people who don't enjoy, who don't appreciate. There we go. That's the word.
Yeah.
They don't appreciate the music for what it is. They don't appreciate the lyricism, and the industry is out to rob the artist. Now the artist doesn't feel like they need to make quality, so that's why, like, when people are out here singing "They Not Like Us," I'm over here listening to J. Cole because a diss track ain't supposed to be catchy. I don't care what no one says.
Uh, I don't know. Hit 'em up was catchy. hit
Well,
'em up was catchy. I feel like I bop to it. Even with like Ether, when Nas dropped Ether, everybody was like that was. I get what you're saying with bop because it was more of a dance. Like it was kind of a lighthearted diss track, but he was
yeah,
saying he was saying some stuff in there. So I get what you mean by like the traditional diss track is not catchy. Like you're coming at the person like this is what you're doing. Like this
right.
is a battle.
And
To where yeah.
and diss tracks aren't supposed to go up for Grammys. I'm sorry, they're just not. Diss track's not supposed to be commercial. It's just not. Like I just don't think, and I don't even. And honestly, I just heard the song for the first time like 3 weeks ago. I refused to listen to it. Refused. And the only reason that I had to listen to it was because at work we have a speaker. I work at Bisco in the warehouse, and they let us bring a speaker and have music to have some sanity. And it came on, and I'm just like, oh my god. I was like, this is what everyone's over. One of my good friends were talking about this song, and he's just like, it's a top five diss song. I'm like, maybe in terms of what it's done, right? Because there's no denying it's made its impact in hip hop, whether I like it or not. It has. Um, but I'm just like, you can't. You're gonna put it up there with no Vaseline and ether, and like it's not. I can name 10 songs better than that one. And he wasn't having it. He just was like, no.
Um. So I understand what you are saying. I wouldn't put it past like No Vaseline personally, and like other diss tracks, like even like the Jadakiss diss tracks.
Yeah.
Jadakiss diss tracks is like Checkmate. Sorry, the Jackson. I was like, yeah. I get what you're saying, but I don't mind that it was a diss track that went up for a Grammy
Right.
because that's also it takes a special type of skill to actually make a diss track to where not only it's catchy, you have everybody in the world singing it, calling Drake what they calling him. Now you nominated for a Grammy because of it as well. So I get your point of it due to the natural craft of like this tracks and rap battles and like how we carry it out
Right.
to where what that track did. So I understand it from that perspective, but I'm also not mad at it because of what it ended up doing. That hey, you had the whole world calling Drake what they were calling Drake. Everybody dancing to it. Everybody TikToking to it. Like that. Hey, like that's kudos. Like I can't be mad at it. But I also get what you're saying, and I
Right.
understand that too. I definitely understand that.
You see it from both sides.
Yeah.
So now, give me a sign. Woo! Wow. Wow.
Probably my favorite song on the track. Uh,
That's the best song from you that I've heard. And you've had bangers, but this song was special. I don't even want to give a synopsis, so I'm not going to. I want to know what it was about this. I want to hear everything about this song. I don't. I just want to listen. I don't want to say nothing. I just want to listen because this song here was just like whoa, like Black Rob, like whoa. I was like, what the fuck just happened? The whole like what's the word I'm looking for? God. The album just shifted. The EP just shifted to like another time zone. So please explain to me everything about this song. I don't even have a professional way to ask this question. I just want to know about this song.
um. So this song was definitely dedicated to a point in my life to where I was losing a lot of people. Um. And I don't think a lot of people put emphasis on how hard it is to bounce back sometimes. And that's why the way I started, like oftentimes they say you bounce back from wounds that didn't kill, but never try to state the fact that you'll never be the same. And it's harder to believe that the love that went away when you always stayed solid for the ones you came your way. Now I'm in a state of panic and my mind is going manic from the pain of realizing that the real is not the same because they fold under pressure, acting like they never knew you. Now you fending for yourself, praying cops won't pursue you, feeling like your fate is sealed, like the devil made a deal. But to God be the glory because he keep my soul concealed from like honestly, that was my
Mm,
conversation. Like when I really was rapping it, I was like, this is my conversation to God. Um, I am a man of faith. I believe in God, and with this track in particular, it was just there was so much that was bottled up that I was dealing with, and then even when you get to the chorus, where I'm like, dear pain, I can never seem to get away from every single thing you put me through. And I try to stay strong for the people that I love, but I'm slowly fading from the liquor and the drugs. Lord, give me a sign. Because this is just a simple conversation and I need to get a word out of you. But if it's not that time and I gotta go survive, just promise me that I can have the strength to make it through. Lord, give me a sign. Like
mm,
that in itself, like even writing it, it was just it was so much to do at the time because it's like I'm really trying hard to make it through. And trying to seek guidance from God and trying to figure out, you know, is everything that's happening like this, is this according to your will for my life? Like, is this the path that I'm supposed to follow? Was I meant to lose so many people, whether it was friendships was just done or people dead and gone? Like, there was just so much at that time that was just a mountain and like building up. And then that's why even leading into the second verse, when it's like, Lord, give me a sign. Is all of this prepping me for blessings? Because the way to sacrifice is not a burden or compression. Second guessing my decisions when I'm supposed to walk by faith. I've been waiting for so long just to try to get a break, and I'm holding on to hope, but that don't seem to pave the way to the road full of riches that was destined with my fate. And maybe I was too preemptive in not seeing what you laid, so I must apologize in this moment as I say. I'm aware that everything I'm aware that everything that left my side was for a reason, that the vision that I had, not everyone was to receive it. So these tears in my eyes, thinking now that I survived, but the fact a lot of people really went and left my side. We done came from the bottom, but y'all rather leave me there. When my moments were the darkest, everybody just like I was in a different mind frame at that point because it was literally just it was so much I had to get off my chest. And at least for me personally, the best way to do it is music.
right.
And I knew when I was done with this song, I was like, there's so many people that could relate. Like I don't think there's that many people in this world that when they listen to that song, they're gonna sit there and be like, I felt every word of that. Because a lot of the times we do fade from the liquor and the drugs. A lot of the times we use that as our coping mechanisms, whether it's smoking weed, drinking all the time, whatever vice it is that you have, you're just trying to find a way to cope with everything that is going on. And I feel like as I was writing it, I was like, yeah, I was like, this is how it is. And it's such a heavy burden to carry too. Like losing people in any form or fashion is a hard thing to deal with and a hard weight to carry. And then learning how to lift that burden off of you and that pain, like, it is what it is. I lost my friends, I lost family, like however way that is, and just trying to learn to make it through and like you just pray over it. But at least in my case, I know not everyone is
Right.
spiritual and believe in God. Like however you gotta handle what you gotta handle. Like whatever it is you do, whoever it is you talk to. And for me it was God. It was just like, that was my prayer in a sense. And it was just like, all right, let's do this. And it's yeah, it was a lot. Like with that song, it was a lot. And like even thinking about it now, it's just like that's why I love the song so much because it was just it's real. It was just authentic. It was everything that essentially I was going through and still going through. Um, I always tell people like healing is it's a very wavy thing. There's nothing linear about healing. There's some days where you feel good, you feel great, you want to heal the world, you want to help kids, help adults, help everybody. Like you feel like you're great, and then there's other days you want to curb stomp somebody. You want to see the world set on fire. You want to see everything burn in a blaze because of how you feeling. But I also say with healing, it's just acknowledging that both of those feelings for you, they can be valid. But understanding that you need to only learn to act on the feelings that will make you better and be a better person instead of crashing out and getting into that energy is like, okay, that's where the work comes in. That's where you have to realize, like, acknowledge the good and the bad. I hate when people talk about healing and everything is, oh, peace, positivity, love. Healing is beautiful. No, it's not.
Um,
Heal, man,
it
God,
depends what you're healing from. Um,
absolutely.
but in a sense, 95% of the time, healing hurts, whether it's physical, mental, emotional. You know, it's just something that there's no time frame. And I
Yeah.
don't think you truly heal from losses. You don't, because I remember when Najee died, I was having a conversation with his mother. And it was hard because you ever like, you don't know the right thing to say. And then you usually try so hard to not say the wrong thing that you say multiple wrong things. But she said something that was really stood out. And she said, this is the new norm. And unfortunately, we have to learn how to live with this new norm. So she didn't use the word heal. You see, because you can never replace that loss. You know, you can break your arm and it'll heal, it'll function again, right? It'll do
Mhm.
everything it did before you broke it. But when you lose people, that kind of healing does not go away. My grandmother died on Halloween, so Halloween's not really my favorite day. I was 7 years
Understandable.
old. I'm 36 now. Almost 30 years ago, she died. Never fully healed from that. My grandfather died, I want to say 2009. Never fully healed from that. So those losses, and that's why I say, some healing can work. Like it can be beautiful. Like if you're healing, like I said, a body part, you're like, great, I can walk again, or I can move my arm, or I didn't paralyze myself when I hurt my back or my neck.
Mhm.
Um, but healing is a hard thing to do. And hearing that song made me think of DMX, and it made me, you really showed the layers of who of you showed your layers of your respect through him by showing who you are. And for me, and I'm trying to remember, there was one DMX song that really just stood out to me, and it wasn't Lord Give Me a Sign. Oh, here we go. It was on Grand Champ. You know, he had Thank You, he had Ayo Kato, he had Thank You in the Prayer Five all in a row.
Yeah.
And now Grand Champ to me was the last. I hate to say it this way, but it was the last album where X was X as we knew him. Like he was starting to like kind of decline, right? But it was the last album that we knew him as he was. Because after that, it was Year of the Dog again. There's a thing in here, mixtape, the Way In, Undisputed, Dogs Eat Rabbits, and then Exodus, which they shouldn't have released, and now they're releasing another one, Let Us Pray, uh,
I
ch-
did see that.
chapter 10. That comes out, I believe, in December. Um, but I say that to say that his message and his music lives in you being a fan, and for you to be able to take that from him and make it your own is special. Because how many people can take DMX, who's renowned as one of the greatest rappers ever? For me, he's like third all time. It's like Tupac, Nas, him for me. Like, like like I put you this way: for me, like Nas is the greatest rapper that ever lived, right? But my personal favorite's Tupac, if that makes sense. So, as you can see on the shirt, you know, I feel like there's two different lanes because I feel like I connected with both of them. But for me, that six album run with Hit Boy just put Nas in another stratosphere for me.
Yeah,
Um,
Nas need a hit boy.
yeah,
I feel like if Nas had a producer like Hit Boy earlier on, and don't get me wrong, Illmatic classic, but there was some of the albums in between where I was like, nah, the production ain't like Nas is still Nas. Nas is still rapping, but it was like that production drop off. You heard it, and you were just like, nah, this ain't it. And then he got with Hit Boy, and it was like, yeah, this is what you needed.
yeah,
This is what you needed.
and he even said it. I forget the song offhand, but he was talking about if he that he picked bad beats through a lot of
Yeah,
his career. I am had some sketchy beats. Nostradamus was horrible, like
yeah.
horrible. You know, Godson, some sketchy beats. You're like, what are you doing, bro? Streets
Right.
Disciple, some sketchy beats.
I will say on Godson was Dance on that one.
Yeah, yep. Track
Yeah,
13.
that yeah, that was. I think that's still one of my favorite Nas songs. I
And
wish you were there. I miss you more each second I breathe. You rest in peace forever. I accepted you free. A blessing to me. I see you dressed in all white. Smile. Yeah, that's my yeah.
and when, but then you had albums where he had like, even if the production wasn't great, like he made it work. Like Illmatic. It was written I Am. He made all his production work. You know, uh, the Nas album itself, like the one that was supposed to be called the N word. You know, hip hop is dead, life is good. You know, he really did, but he really had production that he made work on some of those projects.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, no, but for you, and for you and Give Me a Sign, that definitely was one where you were in another lane. You took yourself to another stratosphere. And I feel like you tapped into a piece of yourself you didn't know was there. Or maybe you knew it was there, but you were able to find it and put it into the music. Because that's not always an easy feat to do either. Sometimes you gotta, I'm not an artist, but I know sometimes you gotta dig deep within you to get to somewhere you might not have even known you wanted to go.
Hmm.
But that song you dug down deep for sure. And, and then that song just blends into Other Side. And it's a nice transition, right? And it sounds like you're talking about someone close to you who died. Um, are we renowned if I didn't ask who's the individual you're speaking of in the song?
Um, my grandmother actually.
Okay.
Uh,
Shout out to her, Maze Moss.
it's funny. The song actually, it was a couple of people that I lost. My grandma was the main one, and then my friend Rome and Ron, their mom passed, and like so. There's a, I gotta think. There's a line that I say. Uh, Dang, I'm drawing a blank. It's crazy. It's funny because with songs like that, like writing that, like it took a lot. It took a lot to actually lay it down and to express like losing a loved one, especially when it came to my grandmother. My grandmother was everything to me. Um, Probably one of the most beautiful souls you would ever come across. Like, everything about me is a reflection of her, and like I don't really have words to describe it. She's just she's actually one of the main reasons like I do have faith in God because I watched her go through so much, dealing with sickness, just all the fighting that she's had to do that I've witnessed, and she always kept her faith. And it was puzzling to me because it's like how do you keep your faith through all this, and then even within yourself you start to question God, like, is he real? Like, why would he put you through this? Why you gotta go through all this? But she never wavered and continued being the great human being that she was. And, you know, love her with all my heart. I actually lost her Thanksgiving 2015. And it's it's wild to think about. Um, and that's the funniest thing about grief. It never truly goes away. Um,
Hmm.
you learn to cope with it. You learn to live with it. And during that time, like I lost her. Then 2 months after, I lost Sister Burns. She was like a great family friend, and she was like a second grandma to me. Like I used to call her my godmom. Like I used to just be like, "You my godmom," and she was had the same essence as my grandma, and they were good friends. And it's just to lose them both back to back in the manner that I did, and very similar ways. And it's like lost my grandma in November, and then I lost Sister Burns January, and it was just like I didn't even have time to recover. And like I sat down and I just started writing down everything for other side. It was a lot I had to say, but there's no way I can relay all the thoughts that should affect me every time I try to pray. It's yeah, and I'm a little choked up about it right now because really,
You're good. You take your time. It's not easy to talk
um,
about.
that's the one song on the album that I haven't repeated listening to. Like even when I did it in the studio, I did it. I was like, okay, like I'm gonna release it. But like when I first played through my album, both my EP and then Other Side came on, you know, it's a hard one for me to listen to, and there's a lot of people that truly appreciate that song because you know everyone can relate. We've all had that person in our life that meant the world to us, and they're no longer on this earth. And it's easy to be like, yeah, they're here in spirit, and it's beautiful, it's sweet, it sounds great, but it's like the reality of it is I need them here. And there's plenty of times in my life where I'm always like, man, I wish my grandma was here. Man, I wish these friends was here. And like even my friend Rome and Ron, like their mom passed away, and as I was writing this song, like a piece of it, like there's a verse where I'm like, there's a line that I say, a chance to see us all go and take the big stage and shine bright like the diamonds that don't seem to fade. Like that's us being on stage when we make it. And it just hurts when there's people that are important to your life and they pass away and you don't have any choice but to carry on.
Yeah,
And you try to leave things for them and do things in memory and in honor and to honor their life and I think that's why for me personally, like I try my hardest to be the best human I possibly can be. Um, you know, of course, for myself, I owe it to myself to be a good human being, but also to the ones that paved the way for me, that instilled me with so much wisdom and gave me as much guidance as they could possibly give me while they were on this earth. And, to make them proud. I pray they in heaven smiling at me. I pray that every action that I do in this life, you know, it makes them proud, and I'm a good representation of those people and what they meant to me. And yeah, other side was the hardest track for me to write. Give Me a Sign was my favorite track to write. It's like, oh, this is great. Like I'm just, you just feel like you're releasing on. Like for me, it just felt like I was just releasing on that track, and I was like, oh, great. Whereas on the other side, I was writing it, and it was me coming to terms with the fact they are gone. And the hardest thing when losing somebody is accepting the fact that they are gone. Um,
absolutely.
yeah, but I'm proud of that song because it showed growth within myself to even be able to express that. Um, one thing I have been learning, on this journey of life is understanding that you are allowed to feel all your emotions, sadness, anger, grief, happiness, joy, pain, et cetera. Like that is a part of the human experience. That is a part of living life. And I feel like so many times for us, and I'm just speak from the perspective of being a black man. Um, there's a level of suppression that we do to ourselves to maintain uh, illusion of strength. Um, you feel like being angry and being tough is like, and there's times I still fall back into that pattern where it's like, yeah, like I ain't gotta shed a tear, I ain't gotta cry, I ain't gotta do this. But it's like, nah, the reality of it is, you human. We have a heart that beats, we have a heart that feels, and we got every right when it's needed to express that. Because if we don't express it, we'll die on the inside. Like holding all of those emotions in, your body eventually turns on you, and you start to break down. And I had to learn that the hard way myself. But yeah,
Well, that's why it's important. And another thing is, as black men, we're trained to believe that we have to be strong all the time and that we hold stuff in.
mhm,
You know, my wife, I had to explain to her why it's difficult to open up. Like I tell her a lot. Excuse me. But I don't tell her everything because I don't care what no one says. I got a preconceived idea that once you like open up to a woman, like she gonna think you weak, and then when you get into a fight, she gonna use it against you. And it's just like, damn, well, you mad, so you really gonna take a personal shot. It's kind of like Skip Bayless and Shannon Sharp when we knew Shannon Sharp was leaving undisputed. He took that personal shot, and you like, yeah, this is over. And that's how it feels for me personally. I can't speak for everyone. She just
I
she never understood. She doesn't. She wasn't able to understand that before I explained it to her.
so that I will say that that is a reality that a lot of men do face. I've faced that as well. I've been in that. I've dealt with that. But I also within myself had to realize I don't gotta stop being me. Even if I do share everything with somebody and they throw it back in my face, because the same way that a woman you're in a relationship with can do it, I've had friends do it.
Mm.
It's not just solely on women, like women you're in a relationship with, like people, human beings. We tend to, a lot of the times when we resort to our anger because we are hurt, we tend to say some of the nastiest things to somebody, or we throw back somebody's trauma in their face that they share with you in common sense, or like whatever issues they were dealing with. We just, uh, I'm not gonna say all of us do it, but some of us that we just react with our emotion. It happens that way,
Right.
and it does make you rethink. Oh, like should I trust the person again, or should I share with the person again? But that's also where I'm like, it takes a lot of work. You know, it takes a lot of work. Um, Even if you got to go to therapy, and therapy is also not for everyone. So it's like finding whatever it is that will get you to a better place to where when you do get into that situation again, you have a coping skill, a healthy coping skill to handle that and to not let it affect you as much as it originally would have when you first went through it. And that's the beautiful thing about life, right? Everything's about growth. Everything's about learning from past lessons and past mistakes and being better because of it or becoming stronger because of it. And it's a sucky process. It's a lot of work. You hate that you got to do it. You hate you got to go through it, but you do, if done right, you do feel like afterwards, like, oh, I needed to do this. I appreciate this. I've unlocked a new part of myself I didn't know existed until that happened. And that's why I accept the good with the bad and the ugly. I understand that life ain't sunshine and rainbows and beach and TV. We know the cliche. Um, but I've also just learned like I'm willing to experience every aspect of life if it's gonna cater to my growth. Yeah. Um, I feel like that's just something we have to take life in strides. We really do. Nobody knows what they're doing. Everybody feels like they know what they're doing, but we don't. There's so much we have to learn, and like life is just a journey of learning. Once you stop being so fixated on the destination and just enjoying every aspect leading up to it, you'll be fulfilled. That's how I view it. That's why going back to me being a farmer, I
Yeah.
enjoy every aspect of farming. I enjoy being in the land. I enjoy growing fruits and vegetables. Yes, it's a whole completely different dynamic from what I originally thought I was going to end up doing,
Yeah.
and I'm grateful for that. You know, I'm allowing myself to follow the path that is being paved for me. Walking by faith, not by sight. And for that, I'm seeing the rewards happen. I'm seeing things change in my life. I'm seeing myself internally being a better person than what I was before. Every day is a sign of growth. And I appreciate it a lot. And like, I want other people to feel the same way. Whatever it is that their path is, whatever they got to follow in order to be a better version of what they used to be, like, go do it. Go do it. Don't listen to what anybody else got to say. Don't let nobody else knock you off your path. If they're not giving you encouraging advice, the real advice and criticism that you need, and also being open to criticism. I am not above criticism in the slightest.
Mhm.
Somebody can tell me my album was trash, my EP was trash. Hey, you probably right. It probably wasn't your taste. Like I, because it's true. Not everybody is gonna receive whatever I gotta say well,
And
and
that's Christ.
I feel like us as a society, we've been so conditioned to be like, if somebody doesn't like something of yours, they hate you automatically. And it's like, no, that's not necessarily the case. You might have did something like you made a song, they ain't like the song. That don't mean they don't like you. They just didn't like the song.
Yeah, like the
They might be
song.
really, yeah, they might really be cool with you. And even with, nah, I ain't gonna get into politics. We ain't gonna do that. It's music corner.
Yeah.
But yeah, we ain't gonna do that. But like us as a society, we're just so quick to just dismiss somebody off of something small. Like I've learned to be in rooms and agree to disagree. I've learned to sit with strangers and be like, oh, okay, this is what you view, cool. This is what I view, cool. Do you respect me? Cool. I respect you. We good? All right, bet.
Exactly.
Life goes on. Like we got to learn how to start letting things roll off the shoulder a little more. We can't take every single thing to heart. You always gonna be mad. You always gonna find something in this world to be mad at if you take everything to heart.
And then, and that's how you have like hate in your blood and anger, and you just can't do navigate the way you want to navigate through things when you're angry or you're upset or you're aggravated. You have to really just tone down and understand that not everyone's against you, not
Mm-hmm.
everything's about you, and not everything is for you.
100%.
you know and that's just the simplicity of the situations we're in. So I gotta say this was a great EP, And I know you just released it and you're dwelling on it. But will there be more EPs, or do you ever think you'll put together an LP?
Um, there will be more. I have one it'll be dropping next year.
Okay.
It'll be a different dynamic from this one.
Okay.
I'm actually excited for that one. There might be a single dropping for it in the near future. Who
Okay.
knows? Um, but yeah, it's gonna take on a different. It's gonna show a different style of me too, and that's what I want each project I drop to show, like different aspects. Like I can rap about different situations and topics. Doesn't always have to be dark and gritty. It can be lighthearted and warm. But I think this next EP will surprise a lot of people. Uh,
Well, I don't know if you know or if I've told you, but I'm starting to work with this company called All Right Entertainment, and they actually the guy who's running it wants me to like do like A&R work for them. Part of that work is iHeartRadio. So, you know, I'm thinking about throwing a raffle together because I've asked people and they all just seem like it's like, yeah, I'm in for it. But then it's just like when it's time, it's just like, I don't know. Like it seems like it's sus. So I was thinking about throwing a raffle together, and the winner of that raffle, I'm gonna pay for their first one. I'm gonna pay for the first one. We'll go to the studio, we will see it, and I will, and then people will be like, oh, okay. So he's about that, because But I just want to, definitely put that out there. So if you ever want to get your music out there, I'm looking to take some people with me to the next level and get them where they want to go in their field. And that's to have people hear their music. Music's important to me. So, you know, I had Aaron Boogie on here a couple weeks ago. She's always looking for artists to share their music. So, because your message and your story should be out there. And you know, it's much deserved because you definitely have impacted me with your music.
I appreciate that. I think that's also something I personally struggle with is understanding that I have a story and my story could impact a lot of people. And I've recently been getting into the mode of like, I can share my story, I can share my experiences, I can share my wisdom, and you know, because I don't like attention. And it's so funny because like you doing music, you gonna get attention, like
Oh,
regardless. Like
absolutely.
I'm a person where my genuine dream is to have my farmland, be on the farm, growing my crops, and have animals and stuff, and just live in peace and solitude. But if I got to throw some music here and there, get my funds up quicker, and get to that dream a little faster, and then just disappear. All I need is one. That's it. All I need is one. I need
That's it.
one banger. They give me the money I need, and I'm gonna disappear like the Avatar.
It's like I say, all it takes is one yes.
Hmm.
So much like much like Honest Hour, I would like to do the same thing on this show. I like to end each show with a positive ending message. So if you don't mind, just telling the viewers who are still here, who will watch this back, give them something positive and uplifting that will, just bring them up a little bit.
Um, if I had a positive message for everyone watching, everyone who will watch. Um, be patient with yourself. Understand that this life we live, um, God willing, is a long one. There'll be a lot of ups and downs, trials and tribulations, but that'll all lead to your testimonies. Uh, don't be so caught up in what everybody else is doing. As cliche as that may sound, don't allow social media to influence your life. Don't allow negative influences to influence you. I know that's easier said than done. You know, focus on what it is that makes you happy. Um, appreciate yourself. Understand that you're a dope human being. You're a beautiful soul. You were on this earth for a reason. Everyone has a purpose, and find what your purpose is and stick with your purpose, and you'll be rewarded for that. Uh, yeah, love yourself. That's it.
Purpose. Oof, another talk for another day. That word just so it circles around me. Thanks, Naj. Well, I appreciate you coming on for the first episode of Mike's Music Corner.
I appreciate you having me.
Always. We still got to get you back on Honest Hour to do that. But you know what? We're going to do that in person. So that's what we're going to do. That's coming next year, for sure. That at some point, just got to get in position to do that. So this is Mike's Music Corner. I hope everyone who watched or tuned in enjoyed. This show will kind of be on a basis. It'll come when someone tells me they want to they drop a project. I'll throw it out there and we'll go from there. But I will be back next week. Nerd Camp Sports is Monday. Honest Hour is Tuesday. And Andromeda's supposed to be on the show, but I don't know. Looks like we're gonna have to shuffle the schedule a little bit. This is Hood Soul. Check out. No, I've almost forgot. In case anyone wants to find your music or your CMOS, where can they find you?
So for my music, you can follow my Instagram at Hood Soul. That link is in the bio for my music. I'm on all streaming platforms. And for my CMOS business, you can follow me at Maze Moss, MAES, all together. And, if you want your health and healing, I got you. Buy some CMOS. And yeah.
All right. So real quick, don't end it right away. There's something I want to talk to you about off camera. So to everyone, enjoy your night. Thank you for tuning in and checking this out. I will be back with this show as soon as I get another artist to come on here and have a conversation. I'm Mike Williams. He's Hood Soul. Check out Survival on all streaming platforms. We'll see you soon.